3 different types of asparagus here, and you cut it just below the soil, and then more will spring up. So you harvest, and one will start first, and then the second lot, and then the third lot, and so you keep going for maybe, I don't know, 12 weeks. Yeah. Your pea stinks. Yeah, and after a while it's like, oh, I don't think I can cope with that. And sometimes you've forgotten that you've eaten it, and it's like, what? No, goodness, no. But it's a good giggle at the same time.
Where's the head of the asparagus then? You know, the head of the spear rather than the top of the spear.
So the head has really grown into the fluff.
Oh, right, okay.
So the head is the start. So you can see one just over here. There. You see this one here?
Oh yeah, and that grows into all the fluffy things.
This grows into the plant. Yeah.
Thanks.
It's a bit soaking wet.
Yeah, so when you're actually harvesting it, you just see lots of heads just pop up.
Yeah. So when it first starts coming out of the ground in kind of early summer, that's when you start harvesting it, and then you leave it to grow. Now, yeah, maybe you can harvest it for a bit longer, I don't know. The rhubarb is well established as well, because this has been here years and years. And when I find toads and things, because when I'm pulling up the plastic, they like it under the plastic, and so I get all excited when I find one, and I, you know, cuddle it and bring it to the rhubarb here, and because there's lots of undergrowth that they can hide in as well.
Yeah. Rhubarb's perennial, isn't it?
Yeah, it comes up every year, same as the asparagus, same as the comfrey, raspberries, and actually it's a good point you mentioned that, because the wood chip is best to get from deciduous trees, so trees that shed their leaves in winter, for example, because when you get evergreens, the bark is quite acidic, so it's not great for production for mushrooms and things. But
and do you have to cut this back to get the little roots up next, you know? Does it just keep going?
No, it just dies away.
Right, okay.
Yeah. And sometimes you can just flatten it and leave it, you know, and it will stop the weeds from coming up. And yeah.
I've just never seen it like that. I just thought it was just those. I thought that was it. I thought we put some in last year, but I mean, it's nothing like this yet.
Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah. And there are lots of plants in forest gardening that you can basically, they're exactly the same. You know, spinach that is perpetual, it just keeps going every single year, it just keeps growing. And there's all sorts of different things that you can use, and you know, to tie things upwards. So in the polytunnel is a really good example. Pardon me. So next year, yeah, it's a bit of a bendy exercise in here. Just hoe the weeds, whack the cardboard down. In fact, I think this side here, where the sweet potatoes are, I don't think I had any cardboard left, so I just plonked the manure on top of it. But the rest of it is, and underneath you can see remnants of the cardboard kind of coming through underneath the wood chip. But the cards are all, and it is better to stand over here.
Watch your head if you come out this way. Mind your head.
Next door neighbour gave me a load of cabbages. I had loads of my own already, but I hate throwing things away, so the little stragglers I just kind of planted in the middle, and you know, they provide a nice bit of contrast, and you know, the chickens love these, the dock leaves, and it provides also, I suppose, a bit of foliage at the bottom of the weeds where it protects the soil, keeps it moist. And this is what I haven't done here. I haven't kept it moist enough, and things have just dried out. So maybe, you know, this was a really good example for me to learn that maybe this was kind of too much on its own. It was a bit too small. So the beds could benefit from maybe being a bit bigger, in a sense.
Do you let chickens roam in here?
Sorry?
Do you let chickens roam in here?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, they're quite helpful. They love caterpillars.
Yeah.
I welcome caterpillars. Welcome slugs.
Oh. You would have thought you'd separate livestock from vegetables.
No, not necessarily. I mean, yes, they come, and I suppose the birds, and over there, the more established beds are a really good example, but the birds love to come and forage through all the worms and everything that's inside here, so you can't really see the side of the bed to the path anymore, because everything just goes everywhere, you know, and which is fine, you know, as well, because this looks a bit neater, obviously, apart from the fact that the potatoes, look at the size of this mushroom, look at this, isn't that pretty?
We've got a green outside where we live, and there was a mushroom that big on the green. I've never seen a mushroom.
Was it a ball?
It looked like the ones you buy in the supermarket. Yeah. And there was a big circle of them, half a circle of them, wasn't there, really? And we picked a few, but we weren't sure if we could eat them.
There we go. I think we should all buy a mushroom book and then teach each other.
I still don't know.
Oh, dear. but foraging, you know, the example of hawthorn is amazing. The dandelions, you know, burdock, all the rest of it. But yeah, and these potatoes have been pretty happy this year. And it was just rubbish everywhere here.
Right.
With weeds. Plastic.
Plastic.
And plastic.
More plastic.
Oh, wonderful plastic. But some people, you know, it's the way that they've learnt as well.
Yeah.
There's an onion there, isn't it? You see it, don't you?
Pardon me? Yeah.
I think there's an onion there.
Yes, I started growing. I didn't realise the potatoes would bloom so much. So on the edges, I've got spring onions and things that have been slightly buried. But you can see that the potatoes are, I suppose, coming to the end of their life now. They're starting to go back into the ground. And I mean, my parents, they leave the potatoes in the ground, you know, and they just dig them up as and when they need them. They just let the plant die away, and that's fine for them. But if you want to reuse the bed, and if it gets really frosty, you can't really dig very easily. So you can leave them in the soil if you wanted to, and you can leave them to seed. So if you leave them to die in the ground, or I suppose the plant on top dies, the next year they will sprout again, but they will sprout and give loads of seeds as well the next year. It's the same with carrots. You can leave a few carrots in the ground, and the next year when they pop up in spring, they'll start seeding quite quickly, and you can use those seeds. So you can create your own seed bank basically, very easily.
We need to do that if GMO get the pay.
Yeah.
So does this sort of area provide a lot of what you eat, or all of it?
Most of our dinner plate every single night is like a dream come true. Yeah. So even, I mean, we had pizza last night. So the courgettes go on the pizzas, you know, and we've got all the basil that goes all over the pizzas as well. We haven't got the goats at the moment for the cheese yet, you know, and we haven't got a cow for milk and things. Not that, you know.
You made the dough. The dough was made from the spelt flour.
Yes, yeah. We make all our own bread and dough and everything. But yeah, it would be great to get some clay actually, and to build a pizza oven in the field. I've always
From our place. We've got plenty of it.
And I suppose it's you know, I guess, you know, with everything that's going on in the world, you are kind of pushed into a corner in some respects. But the magic that then comes from it, I had a tooth out recently, and the blood clot, you know, disappeared because I was drinking through a straw, and so I had the most amount of agony for about 3.5 weeks I've ever experienced. But I decided to draw what I expected, you know, what could my imagination come up with for the rest of the field, and we will walk around it. but the bouncy castle was, you know, the first initial. This is, you know, what fun is all about. You know,
it.
and it's exactly.
And the trampoline, the bouncy castle.
There you go. Yes. Yeah. Now the trampoline is to be sunk into, so it's the same level as the ground. So you just walk up to it and you start bouncing, basically. You know, it's one of those things that it's like skipping down a corridor in a corporate office. You have to grin from ear to ear. It's the best thing in the world. So yeah, so I drew a big, I call it a Dolmio table, because the adverts from Dolmio was everyone kind of sitting together as their lovely family community and everything. But you know, where we can all share space, taste, you know, and enjoy each other's company. Doesn't mean to say, you know, everyone has to be together all the time, but you know, you come and do your own thing. You appreciate nature. You have walks. You know, discuss things with everybody and learn. Because everybody loves something uniquely that's intrinsic to yourself, you know. What do you love, Jack?
Walking.
There you go. Okay.
So wild mushrooms, then foraging.
And there's loads of books on foraging, you know, and things. And there is so much fear that, oh, if you eat the wrong thing, you're going to die.
Where's its best before date? Oh no, better not have it.
Yeah, we went on a little foraging thing with Vince. Have you met Vince? We've been on some of the sort of beach things.
Okay.
And he's a forager. We
Brilliant.
went with him and we were just eating everything on the way. Like it was just growing in a pavement. He's like, I'll taste that, and we tasted it. It tasted like pineapple.
Yeah, pineapple weed.
Yeah.
So we've told so many people now about this, kids, adults, and everybody eats it and goes, oh, actually, yeah, this is like pineapple. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And that's in our pavements, you know, it's just amazing. So he says, just throw it in your salads, you know, and it's like, wow, it's, you know. It's learned something new, isn't it?
Just got to do it.
Just underlines how corrupt the world is, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And the lady, in fact, it's Alan Eightbourne's son's wife. She's Brazilian, because I grew up in Brazil. It's nice to be able to speak Portuguese with her. So, but she was the one that was talking about the medicinal purposes of comfrey over there, which is the deep-rooted fertiliser, essentially, as we know it. But in Brazil, I think they're a lot more grounded with, you know, what medicinal things are, and so we can learn a lot from each other's cultures as well. And it was magical for me growing up in Brazil, because I sound English, but I act more Brazilian. I'm a bit more bouncy than most English people.
Happy and expressive. South Americans are they're so warm and open.
Exactly. We like, and I suppose the best thing about Brazil is they have festivals all throughout the year.
They can dance like
exactly. I love hitting the dance floor.
Absolutely amazing.
But movement is an expression of who. It doesn't mean to say you have to be on beat. You know, it is just a movement expression. It's the same with singing. Everyone can sing, and you know, it's using your 2 ears and one mouth in the same way. So singing and being on tune is more about the listening side. And people just think that, you know, that they physically can't sing, and they've been taught. You know, people have told them that they can't. I know, it's a devastating thing for me to hear that someone can't sing, because you can hold your throat and you can feel a vibration, and you know, through the right people, you know, people that teach people to sing, and all about breathing and things. You know, there's so many things that we don't know, but you know, everyone can sing. Everybody. You're looking at me like we're just believing it.
You aren't doing research. I try though, I try.
You thought you were coming here to learn about gardening. Oh, I kid you not.
Oh, I learn about anything. I'm open to everything. No,
they'll do nothing.
well, it's hitting rain in a minute if I start singing.
It'll be a harmonious choir by the time we leave.
But it's the same with water. You know, when we have lightning, the lightning, the electric side of it wipes the memory of the water. The more we mess with water, because water holds memory, it holds its integral self. So it's it's amazing when we add all these chemicals to it, you know, it becomes a bit more dish-shaped and a bit more dish-shaped, and then we use it inside our bodies and we wonder why it doesn't hydrate us. Water is liquid crystal. Essentially, you know, people hold these, you know, your amethysts and your, I don't know, selenite and your obsidian, and, you know, but water is exactly the same. It can become everything that we want it to be. And so you can meditate over your water, and that also cleanses it, and you can sing to it, you know. I have a grander system, so I go through the filters. It essentially, if you filter water, it's still dead. So it then goes through, and that's really, the filters are just for the taste side of things, to take the taste of the chlorine and things out. And then it goes through the reconstruction, the memory water. So it's copper coils with wood and the memory of the you know, highly beautiful water that's gone through all the crystals, all the stones through the earth, and has come into a cave, and that's been collected as the memory water. And you put it next to a phone and you spoil it. So all my grander boards and my water machine, you can put fruit and things on it. So grapes are a really good example. You take grapes and you can put some 5 meters away and put some straight on the board or next to the machine. Well, it's not even a machine, it's just a metal casing really. And 20 minutes later they will taste completely different. Because,
sorry, yes, I was saying, do you know the Japanese scientist?
Emoto, I know his last name.
Yeah, Dr. Emoto. Yeah, exactly. And that's the start of that journey. It's another rabbit hole basically that you can go down. There's plenty of them. But yeah, so he had monks meditate on the water, and then he froze it and looked at it through a microscope, and the crystals, the shapes, beautiful. You know, like you see a snowflake and the way that it's shaped. And when love was given, it created a specific shape. And when peace and harmony and all these beautiful words that all have a resonance as well. And when hate and things like that were I suppose, given to the water, there was this, nothing was
deformed almost.
Deformed completely. It was chaos. It wasn't unified anymore. It wasn't beautiful and perfect in its own way. So so I sing to the and I haven't got enough time to sit and sing to all my water, you know, so I use my system as well, you know, and it's everything together. I also have so I've got a grander system that does the whole house, and I do also have a Kangen system, which is one that you physically plug in, and that gives extra hydrogen and oxygen to the water. Randomly, I just met a woman, and it was my first embark on water, and she told me that she was a consultant for this Japanese company called Kangen, and so I learnt more about water, and that was the first step that I'd learned. And I bought this Kangen machine. I saved up for it, was £4,000, and I went vegan, and I just thought there's some magic in this. And when she you know, it's not your normal occupation. What do? I do water. You know? So it was amazing to learn more about that, and then later on, a few years later, I learned about the grander system, and then I popped to Austria a couple of years ago and sat with all the Russian scientists and all the rest of them, because this is the purest water that they've ever come across, and they can, you know, do so many experiments with it because it's not tainted, it's not dead.
I'm not surprised water's so important, considering it's the one thing that we actually need to survive.
Yeah.
It's literally the one thing.
Yeah.
That's it, we die. So we need to actually look after what we're putting in our body, I guess.
Yeah. Well, water fasting, I mean, you can do dry fasting as well, so you don't have any water.
You can survive like 7 days with just water.
Yeah.
So if you've got the purest
or longer,
water,
you can do 40 days. I would like to do a water fast for 40 days, 40 nights.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll join you on that one time. That'll be quite fun,
isn't it? That's been done.
Yeah, there's loads of people that do it, and you know, because essentially we are a big pharmaceutical company in our whole body, and if we just give it a break from all this breakfast, lunch, dinner, breakfast, lunch, dinner, it's a misnomer again. You know, the fasting is incredible for us, and and helps our body actually just do exactly what it needs to.
Do you have a natural spring on the land anyway?
Yeah, tons of them.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's no better water than spring water.
No, exactly.
It's amazing water.
Exactly. And the rain, you know, if you go out with animals, you know, you've got dogs, they probably love puddle water.
Yeah. Oh, they love it.
Not your tap water. Yeah. And you think, oh, muddy water, what are you doing? Get out of there. You know, but they're the ones teaching us again.
We've got like an open gully that runs through the garden. We've put a borehole in now, but it's a long story, but we couldn't drink the water, and the dogs certainly wouldn't drink tap water. They go outside and drink out of this gully that we've got running through the garden. They wouldn't touch tap water.
No, they know, they tell us.
We've got a little Dachshund puppy at home, my mum does, and I've never seen a thing happier when it's in a big puddle right up to its neck. It's literally the happiest thing ever, and it's on a lead, and it will drag us to the puddle. It would see where it was and then jump in it. And we're like, no, like, don't jump in it. And it looks at us and then jumps in it.
I do exactly the same.
Yeah.
There's a saying, isn't it, about horses, where the horses drink from, you know that's safe water or something.
Yeah, exactly. Liquid crystal. It's amazing stuff, you know, water. And actually, when the water hits the roots, so you know, like vitamin D is actually a hormone. And the change in the soil when water comes in, it changes the hormones in the roots, and it sends the message to start growing. So
what's that thing about the no dig? The fact that the soil absorbs a lot more water.
Yeah, actually, it's a really good point. Thank you, Tony. When you dig a bed and you dig the goodness into it and destroy the whole equilibrium, when you water it, the water kind of just runs off, whereas a no-dig bed, it just soaks it in straight away. There's a really big difference in that, actually.
I've read about that recently.
Yeah. So it absorbs the moisture a lot better, and it holds it as well. I mean, it's when you see the manure and how damp it is, and when you put the compost on top, it just, when it becomes really nice and sunny, it will look completely dry, you know, like almost like a desert, and you dig in maybe that much and it's all moist, you know, because it's almost a barrier to keep all the moisture in, a lot of it. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.